All right, man, peace. So Saturday night on ESPN is going to be a major fight between Vasyl Lomachenko, widely considered, if not the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. When I say fighter, I mean boxer, against Mr. Jorge Linares, who, for those of you who don't know, is a very highly touted champion at lightweight. At one time, he was one of the top sparring partners for Manny Pacquiao. This was going back to Manny Pacquiao's prime in the late 2000s. Linares is a fighter with great power and speed. He is going to be a challenge for Lomachenko. So let's see what they have to say about this matchup.
Saturday night on ESPN, WBA lightweight champ Jorge Linares puts his title on the line.
Clearly, ESPN is not a network that's familiar with fighters, because you'll see how this person pronounces Jorge Linares' name. He's not familiar with him. It's not Jorge Linares, it's Jorge Linares.
Against the world #1 pound-for-pound boxer Vasyl Lomachenko. Loma is trained by his father, and unorthodox is too weak of a word to describe that training. Lomachenko plays tennis alone, running around the net to track down lobs. He holds his breath underwater as long as he can. His best is 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Wow, that's incredible.
Teddy Atlas sat down with Loma to talk about all of it.
When I say that Lomachenko is arguably the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport, I'm basing it off of his skill set, because clearly he does not have the resume to be placed at the #1 spot right now. But I think that a lot of these fights are going to come that are going to be able to allow us to distinguish exactly where he should rank on that pound-for-pound hierarchy. I'm not going to say that he is certifiably #1, because I also believe that fighters like Terrence Crawford and even Andre Ward, who is kind of semi-retired, they still deserve the nod over him in regards to accomplishments. But he's up there. He's certainly up there. And in regards to his skill set, he's definitely in the conversation for #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world.
There are fighters out there that have more physical ability in one area than you, but they don't take what they have and use it in the ring, mentally and technically, the way you.
Vasyl Lomachenko reminds me a lot of Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, except with a little bit more power.
Is that what makes you the best?
I train very hard. I use special exercises. I'm not training like all boxers.
Your teacher is your father. Was it difficult?
You'll find that with most top-level boxing champions that their initial trainer is their dad. From Roy Jones to Oscar De La Hoya to Floyd Mayweather to Shane Mosley, the list goes on, with all-time great fighters whose initial trainer was their dad.
With you and your father, was there trouble sometimes?
Yes, of course, of course. He has his mind. I have my mind.
Sure.
And sometimes we have a problem, but it's
very special, though.
That clash always comes eventually, and there always comes a time when there's a separation between the father and the son, because oftentimes there's an obfuscation in between the role of the father and the role of the trainer. When the trainer is also the dad, he seems to think that he should have final say in what his boxer does or what his son does, because he believes that those two vocations are congruent, and they're not. After a while, you have to accept and acknowledge the fact that your son is a grown man, and he is going to tell you that this is what I think I should be doing. And the father's going to have to be mature enough to respect that. And that's truly when Floyd Mayweather Sr. and Jr. were able to close that gap that was between them, when Floyd Sr. started to respect his son as a man.
All the things that your father taught you since you were little was all about learning how to control your fear, to be stronger than anybody else mentally.
And that's what a great father teaches his son. It's one of the first things, one of the primary things that a great father must teach his son is how to control fear.
How did he do that?
On my boxing life, he give me surprise. He give me special exercises. I walk on my hand.
That exercise right there, that's not only going to build up his knuckles, it's also going to build up his wrists. I'm sure that he's going to suffer from very few hand or wrist related injuries in his career just because of that exercise. It's going to build up a lot of durability there.
I do not boxing exercises.
Yeah, unconventional.
Costa Tszyu used to do that exercise right there, where he tied the baseball, the softball, that little small tennis ball to a string connected to a baseball hat turned backwards, and he would work on his hand-eye coordination, utilizing that draw right there. Costa Tszyu was the first fighter I saw do that.
Yes,
Very
yes.
different.
Always, it's not my head, not my mind saying me, hey, you need to do this. Always it's in my father, hey, come on man, come on, let's go, you can. Then I think what I can't do this, he showed me, hey, you can. And after that, when I do, I believe.
In other words, his father was able to impart self-belief within the son. Once again, that's why the role of the father is so important in raising the son and cultivating his manhood. The main thing that a father teaches his son is self-belief, how to control fear. Those are the two main things that a young boy has to learn from his father. And that's why, once again, in the so-called black community, we have so many brothers who have emotional issues because they're never taught how to moderate a lot of the outbursts.
All the things that you trained since you're 6 years old to be. Your body is good, but your technique makes you better.
But if I didn't have my strong body, I can't use my technique.
Yeah, I understand.
And in a boxing, I respect, I love. Then a boxer can use all skills, everything in a.
You can tell that he's a true student of the game. That's what makes him a great maestro. You see how he was speaking about his own appreciation of his sport, boxing, and the utilization of skills. That shows you how he sees the game. That's why I'm looking forward to the fight between himself and Gervonta Tank Davis, because it's going to be a great barometer for Tank Davis to establish exactly how good he is. I want to see how good he is because it's time. It's time for him to be tested. Now, unfortunately for him, his test may come against arguably the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. But once you decide that you're going to try to shit on the person who was able to give you a lot of the prestige that you've been able to attain, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years, I don't mind you being thrown to the wolves, because I think that people should have an understanding of exactly who has helped them along the way. So either way, we're going to find out a lot about Tank Davis. We may find out a lot about Vasyl Lomachenko, because he may be tested in that fight with Gervonta more than many people believe. I believe that Gervonta Tank Davis is extremely highly skilled, great power in both hands. I think that he may be the best fighter that Vasyl Lomachenko will have faced as a professional boxer. But we'll find out. We'll see if it actually happens. Gervonta may be able to talk Floyd out of making him fight that fight. So we'll see.
Fight. Be the best athlete. If you be the best pound for pound, first you need to be strong physically. After that, you can train your mind, your head. You can train how you control your move, how you control your opponent. Always I prepare my body to hard work, and always it's foundation for my skill.
Teddy Atlas joining us now in studio. All right, Lomachenko.
Let me say this once again. I don't believe that Linares is going to be an easy fight for him. Anyone who has followed Jorge Linares' career knows that he has great speed. And of course, speed is not going to be enough against a highly skilled craftsman like Lomachenko. But again, Linares is a world champion. I believe he's a multiple-time world champion at lightweight. He is going to have the reach advantage. He's going to have a very slight height advantage. Lomachenko loves to sidestep to the right. So are Linares and his team going to try to set a trap for him with a left hook? If Linares shows a high level of head movement, that can throw Lomachenko off, because Lomachenko likes to throw a lot of long combinations. Maybe he can get Lomo to open up. We'll see. I've seen very few fighters who are willing to commit to body attacks on Lomachenko. really, that to me speaks to Loma's power, because oftentimes when fighters will not commit to the bodies because they themselves are getting hurt in the process of trying to get to another fighter's body. Once again, they're fighting on Saturday. I'm very interested to see what goes on here. I don't think that people understand that this is a very good matchup. Linares can get down.
Best pound for pound in the world.
Yes.
You spend a lot of...
Well, no, he's not the best pound for pound in the world certifiably. If someone were to say that he is, that's reasonable. I would put him right there with anyone else. And seeing as his resume is so small, that's saying a lot. In regards to skill set, he's certainly someone that you have to mention as being number one pound for pound in the world.
A lot of time with him. What makes him so great?
He's Neo from The Matrix. You seen that movie?
Yes.
I mean, why is Neo so good? Because everything slows down for him. He can see bullets. I mean, Lomachenko can't see bullets coming, but punches coming.
Right.
And he can, it's moving slower for him than it is for everyone else. No different than the great ones in anything that they do, whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's LeBron, whether it's Brady, whether it's a great lawyer in a courtroom, where everything, when things aren't calm for somebody else, they're calm for them. They can see more than ordinary people can see. The mental part of it is at a different level. And then comes the technique. Stephon Curry, one of the best shooters maybe in the game. Maybe.
I'm sorry, Teddy, who? Did you just say Stephon Curry? Who the fuck is that?
Maybe one of the best of all time. Now, how much of that is his physical ability? I would argue his physical ability is not the best out there. By far, it's not the best. But his technique, his mental approach and his technique is very good.
Let me find out Teddy Atlas is auditioning for First Take so that he can argue with Stephen A. Smith about basketball. I would love to see that shit, just to see him and Stephen A. screaming at each other all day.
Stephon shoots the ball the right way and gets rid of it really fast. Lomachenko throws the...
Go ahead, Teddy. Let me find out you're a basketball expert.
Punches the right way, gets rid of them really fast, and guess what? It's always a plus. You can't hit him. Just like you can't hit Neo in The Matrix. And that makes him better. And that makes him able to do what he's doing Saturday night on our network. Move up to another weight class. Because what difference does it make?
Well, in order for him to establish a legacy for himself as an all-time great fighter, he is going to have to go through the weight classes and show that his skill set can impose his will upon his opponents in various weight classes. All-time greats have been doing it for the past 100 years or so. So that's something that he has to do. He does not deserve recognition just for moving up. He'll deserve recognition if he can defeat Linares and stake his claim to supremacy at the 135-pound weight class like he was able to establish at 130.
If it's a big guy or a little guy, they can't hit him.
Good point. You mentioned the fight. We'll look at the tail of the tape for Saturday's lightweight title fight. Lomachenko with a 9-fight win streak dating back to June 2014, including 7 consecutive knockouts. What's his biggest concern facing Jorge Linares tomorrow?
Well,
easy, the speed. The speed and whatever the game plan is going to be, assuming that his trainers are operating on a high level. There are some things that you can take advantage of with Lomachenko. Once again, Linares has the reach advantage. You should see how Lomachenko is going to react to your feints. Maybe try to set him up for a straight right hand. We know that Loma loves to step to the right. Try to sucker him in for a counter left hook. Maybe catch him walking into it.
Well, it's not size. He's moving up in weight. I just said it.
Right.
Because when you're good and you make people miss, whether it's a big guy or a little guy, you're still making a miss. So it's not that he has all the advantage. Believe it or not, I'm going to throw a curve at you.
Now, let me say this. While we're looking at Linares hitting the mitts, he does have a history of performance-enhancing drug usage. And as we can see, he has a lot of acne on his back, all the way across his back, much like we saw from Mr. Jesse Vargas. This is a top-ranked production, so I don't believe that they're too concerned about PEDs. I think that they're pretty much ready to go. I don't think that Bob cares too much.
It's a headbutt. Linares is a little bit of a billy goat. He's in there with his head. He's got a lot of scar tissue. He bangs around. Lomachenko has been cut before. There can be a danger period there where heads come together, and that could impact the fight. That could be an intangible, an X factor in a fight where, God forbid, you never want to see something like that happen.
Well, let me specify, it's a Top Rank and a Golden Boy production, and we know that neither one of those promotional companies give too much of a damn about PED usage, allegedly.
But where he gets cut, the fight gets stopped, and if Linares is fortunate enough to be ahead at that point, he could still win. But I don't see it happening. I see Lomachenko, piece by piece, taking apart Linares.
Yes, I will pick Lomachenko right now, if for no other reason than his transcendent skill set. I think that he's going to try to first establish preeminence in the ring, his ring generalship, and then work on pounding Linares to the body in the middle rounds with sharp left hands, right jabs to the face. He's going to work up and down on Linares to keep him confused, but he is going to concentrate on the body because you have to beat a heavier fighter, a slightly bigger fighter like Linares down to the body to set him up, hopefully, for a big closing performance in the later rounds to try to seal the deal.
Looking forward to it. Teddy Atlas, thank you, sir. See you tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
All right. You can see the big fight tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. Here we go for the.
But anyway, that's it on this video pertaining to the big fight between Jorge Linares and Vasyl Lomachenko. My prediction will be that Vasyl Lomachenko will win a unified decision, most likely something like 116 to 112, maybe 117 to 111. I'm going to give Linares a few rounds because he is a very good fighter. He does have a high level of speed that could be a problem for Lomachenko, especially fighting a bigger man. But we'll see what happens. I want to see the adjustments that both fighters make. But as of right now, I'm going to pick Lomachenko by unified decision. And he is going to take the crown at 135. But anyway, peace.